What's good, y'all? Back tuned into the underground. As you can see, your boy finally got that microphone. This is the DJI mic. For those of you who are not aware, this is not the newest microphone, but this is a drop that came out probably like 2022, if I'm not mistaken. But they're still selling hot right now. So if you don't have one of these, pick you up one. Elevate your content and take it to the next level. This was a gift from my brother. He definitely caught me this. I appreciate you, Gold. You know what time it is. But look, listen, we're about to get into this video real quick and check out this unboxing. Now, I did just say that I got the new mic, so for those of you who don't have a microphone, I definitely guarantee that if you invest in one of these things, you will elevate your content because so far so good. I've been using this thing for probably a good week, maybe 2 weeks now, and I'm very impressed. It would have been awesome to get the DJI 2 mic, but this one is gonna do for now. It works just fine. I mean, the new one is definitely an upgrade on a whole nother level. But that being said, I appreciate you, bro. Thanks for copying me this. And I'm gonna set this over here now, and we're gonna get into the real business of what we really need to be talking about. As you can see, I'm gonna actually go ahead and unscrew this, take that off. Clip that right there. I think we good. Mic check, mic check. I think we solid. Anyway, look, listen. We have to talk about this trimmer, the boosted. I know you've probably seen this thing floating around all over. Everybody's got one of these. All the content creators, all the most popping barbers are probably talking about get this trimmer. Some people are probably saying they hate it, they don't like it. I love this thing. First of all, I've been waiting for this for a very long time. Now, in the quick clip that you just watched, I am using the boosted trimmer, which is equipped with the EverSense ES5 blade. Now, the ES5 blade is probably one of my favorite blades right now. And what I'm saying is, this thing right here is pricey, but you can't go wrong with this blade set. So get you one of these things. It's about $60 to $70. I will make sure to link that in the video description below, just so everybody that's interested And this blade set can cop it. Definitely put that into your starting lineup. Gamma Plus, Stylecraft, they're killing it. Of course, use my discount code J.Exquisite. I got you covered on that end and get you a good old discount. Save some money. Anyway, look, I'm gonna mainly focus on using this one, which is equipped with the ES5 blade. I know you've probably seen the last video that I did review with this one, which is just pretty much everything stock. I left the gold lid on it, or I put the gold lid on it because it does come in black. It does have a red lid as well. That is an extra one. So, you know, this thing is definitely packaged well. It's a super torque motor and you have 8,000 RPMs. This thing eats through anything. But just so y'all can actually check out what's really going on, I'm gonna go ahead and digress back to the video that you just watched earlier, just a second ago. And I'm gonna keep on kind of talking about why you need to grab this, because everybody gets upset about when, you know, these different companies drop all these different trimmers, clippers, shavers, whatever the case, right? It seems like they're just money hungry and they're just throwing out the same or similar item or, you know, tool, whatever, right? You actually are going to need a lot of these tools for different situations. Then there's also, for those of you who have bigger hands, smaller hands, medium-sized hands, whatever the case, right? You need different tools for hair textures, skin types, because let's face it, a lot of you nowadays are very hype about zero gapping when you don't even have to do all of that. You just have to properly, possibly set your trimmer blades or clipper blades, you know, just the right amount. But you all are very hype about zero gapping your tools because you think that's the only way to groom or cut hair. No, that's not the case. These things come packaged already, pretty much set properly. And as you can see, I just slapped this thing on and it was smacking. Like EverSince made sure that when they packaged the blade set, you didn't really have to adjust it or zero gap it yourself. So with that being said, I definitely guarantee you that once you get this blade, you will be good. It's good money, because if you're not sure of this blade set being placed on anybody's face, head, whatever the case, right, to cut the hair, I definitely recommend you do an arm test. My arm is the dummy for all of you. It's my tester, and my head as well. Lately, I've been butchering myself for everybody, just to be real. Like, I'm kind of waiting for my hairline to recover because I've been trying out different trimmers and blades and stuff like that. Just experimenting to see what's what. And I probably should start putting all of that on camera, but I've been butchering myself a lot. So this is the reason for why I always keep a hat on a lot of times, because I have a bad hairline up going on. And not that I'm going bald or something like that. I'm just letting it recover from constantly using it on myself over and over and over. And I'm creating a lot of damage to my line, which is not affecting my lineup for the long run, but just, you know, to try them out or test them out on myself. I'm the dummy before I put these things on anybody else. But for the most part, just do an arm test and you're good. Right in the inner part right here, if it's too sharp on any side of the corner, pull that thing back or just set them properly, have them be balanced. And the super torque motor on this thing, it's definitely cutting, it's chopping. But with that being said, this did get packaged with the blade setter that came with this. Is of course identical, as you saw in my last video, with what came with for example, I believe the Cyborg had one of these. I'm not sure about the Saber, I forget. But anyway, this thing is definitely money. You can't go wrong. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and digress back to this, you know, video, and you can see the multiple different textures from some of my clients, and you be the judge. Do you want this trimmer or do you not? Because I highly recommend it, and I'm going to talk more about why you really do need to add this to your arsenal. Okay, so as you can see, this thing is definitely doing its business. I did this full lineup here before I started recording, obviously, with this trimmer and this blade set, of course. So it's definitely performing, it's delivering. This thing is everything. And this is my second blade from EverSince as far as the ES5 blade. and I have used the ES4 blade for several months, which I am very impressed by. They did their thing with that. But as for this ES5, it is my favorite blade that I have ever used in ever, because it does everything you need it to do. It's a little bit on the aggressive side, but you have to move very efficient when you use this blade. This thing does, of course, cut, and I'm talking about skin. And the purpose of cutting hair is exactly what I just said, cutting hair, not skin. So you have to be very precise and light with the hand. If you are heavy-handed, I don't recommend this blade for you. Probably go for something more like the diamond cut blade from Stylecraft. As far as this ES5 blade, it's a monster, as you can see. I wish I would have recorded all of this, but it's been very difficult lately. For the last several weeks, I have been doing a lot of graduation cuts, a lot of summer vacation people, and of course, Father's Day just passed, so I was very busy trying this blade on everybody that I can get my try on, because this thing is definitely a beast. As you can see, I did line them up with this blade all over. I didn't capture all of that, so I just managed to capture the ending towards the around the ear process. So as you can see, this thing is in real time. I'm letting it run in real time so you can see this thing actually working versus me speeding it up or time-lapsing the video. So if you are familiar with me using this blade set on the Protege trimmer, it was definitely performing. It was a little bit slower on that trimmer just because of the rotary motor that Protege is equipped with. But when it comes to the Super Torque motor, it's a different story. And of course, the RPMs on the hitter are a lot lower compared to this one. Has 8,000 RPMs, which is mind-blowing because it's a lot higher with the RPMs when you compare it to the clipper with the boosted clipper. The boosted clipper, I believe, is at 7,200 RPM, and this thing is 8,000, so it's got, 800 more on top of that. So it definitely cuts well, and I'm gonna try to run most of all of these videos in real time so that you can see this thing performing. And actually, me moving in real time helps people understand how the blade works. A lot of the videos nowadays with these influencer barbers, it's very annoying in my opinion. I'm a victim of it too. We tend to always speed through the videos, and everybody is hyping up the newest tool, which is not my favorite part, because I do feel for anybody that is leaning on my opinion and many other people's opinions about how I feel about some of these trimmers and blade sets that are being released back to back, especially from Stylecraft and Gamma Plus, who is actually producing a lot of very quality trimmers. Sure, some of these things are not for everybody, and there's always something from Stylecraft and Gamma Plus that is going to fit perfectly for you, your cutting style, the way you go about everything, no problem. For me, I have my favorites, and I have some that I'm not even interested in because of simply how they look, what research I do about them, when I learn about the motors and whatever eras that other people are experiencing. I just fall out of interest in being interested in some of these tools. But my whole point is, you don't have to buy every new tool. You do need different tools. You don't have to buy, I'm going to repeat that, you don't have to buy new tools. You just need different tools for each different individual because of their hair texture. If you're going to choose to buy, for example, this boosted, it works perfect on everybody, but there will be some people that may not appreciate this thing because, let's say, the way that it is set up, you don't have that option. Like, for example, the other trimmers have that skeleton shape. This does have that skeleton shape, but some people did complain about the vibration when I got bottom nose on the mustache area. It will vibrate and have an uncomfortable feeling. And for those of you who know, that vibration that sends that chill or that tickle up people's nose is one of the most annoying things you can ever experience as a barber, and that is not fun. Then there's also the blade that comes on this thing is very wide, so some people that have shorter vertical bars will suffer if you don't know how to stretch appropriately, because if you do stretch, the issue is you will scratch them at the lowest or at the lowest point of their vertical bar. For example, here, this works out just fine for him because he has enough space for me to work on. It's not like he has this very small area where the blade is not able to fit, but he has a short vertical bar. But I think you get the gist of what I'm saying is, if people have smaller foreheads and smaller space to work on, if you stretch the skin, you will cause welting and irritation to the skin. That means you possibly leaving permanent damage if you keep on going over and over on those same spots. It's kind of like back in the day, those old head barbers, the old head barbers used to run over the same place, just keeping going over the same place, when nowadays, with these new tools and with more technology and knowledge that we have, we are aware that we don't have to make that many passes as long as you angle the blades properly. As you can see, I'm moving pretty fast on this around the ear line. I don't have to keep on going over and over with multiple different passes. And this blade doesn't get hot because it is, of course, a battery versus a corded tool will get more hot. And it's just interesting the way things have shifted over the years. You know, this technology has advanced a whole lot, and we have better tools today. Some people argue that and say we had better tools back in the day, which I beg to differ, because we're only going up. There are some things from the past that I wish we had still, but let's face it, we're never getting that back, and we have to work with what we have now. Unless you're gonna have to, you know, you're probably gonna have to spend a lot more money or dig high and low to find some more on the vintage side of things, some of those tools that we used to use back in the day. Or some people are maybe able to manufacture a dupe or a duplicate, you know. But anyway, I need y'all to realize that when us barbers that make this content for you all to consume, it's not just for entertainment or for us to get paid off of or something like that. It's really trying to help others, such as myself. I wish I had this type of help back in the day, but when I say such as myself, I really mean, if I can reword that, I mean people like me actually do care. I want people to hear me out and do a follow-up, you know, as far as keep up with me, and I'll do a follow-up video talking about why this is still worth it, let's say 5 months later, 12 months later, 2 years later. Because like I said, you don't have to buy the newest tool, you just have to have multiple different tools for different jobs. Because people always get caught up in the newest and hottest tool when you don't really need everything new. You just need to pick and choose what works for you. If you keep on buying everything, you're gonna injure the bank account. And that's not what you want, trust me. You will go broke trying to keep up with everything. It's like trying to keep up with all the freshest and newest sneakers, all the hottest new gear. You're gonna go broke. So pick and choose what works for you. Do your research, watch these videos, watch my follow-up videos, which I will get into more, because I know somebody was bugging me actually about the Rebel trimmer and why is it that I'm not using that trimmer anymore. And I am using it, it's just not in my videos. But anyway, get back into that soon and follow up with a video, no problem, because I do use them regularly, you know, that's no problem. I did mention this before in another video, but anyway, as you can see, this thing is definitely performing. No color, no enhancements, it does the job. All you have to do is take your time, make as many passes as possible, keep them minimum so you're not damaging the skin, because like I say, this blade set, I didn't even have to set it. It already came ready like this. I only tested it on my arm and that was it. This thing's good to go. But if I see that it's necessary to reset the blade, I will do that, but so far so good. Everybody that I've used this thing on. But anyway, look, I wanted to kind of show you all what the stock blade that came with the boosted trimmer on my other boosted trimmer is hitting like. Because if you didn't see any of these videos on my shorts or, you know, my IG or something like that, that thing is slicing, and that's out of the box. So That's what I'm talking about when I say Gamma Plus and Stylecraft do package these things ready to go. Resetting or adjusting to zero gap in your blade sets is so overkill. You don't really need to do that. You're only going to set yourself up for a possible fail. Unless you're experienced and you know what you're doing when it comes to zero gapping, you'll be just fine. But if you keep on zero gapping everything, you may potentially just be hurting people. Now, check me out. Look at how this thing is hitting on the bang or on this fringe. Slicing, cutting, doing this thing. No fight at all. Precise. You know what I'm saying? Straight across. Doing this thing. But anyway, I did do this quick fade, and I want y'all to stay tuned for my man's right here, because we did do a big chop on him very recently, and his hair has finally been trained up. He's been brushing and it's coming around. So I did do a fade on him using the Gamma Plus boosted, and of course using the Gamma Plus Cyborg. I did use the Gamma Plus Cyborg trimmer to use it on just, you know, certain things, like as far as balding them out. And I did use the boosted trimmer, of course, which I will showcase for the lineup on this next shot, which is pretty much all nice and prepped. But y'all stay tuned for the video process of how I got to cut his hair from a big chop to bringing it down to this level that we are now working with, because it's been a fight, it's been a battle, and my man's it has been keeping consistent with his father, showing up to appointments every other week, bi-weekly, really twice a month, and it's been going just fine. But you know, big chops are fun. They're great, and everything as far as like the follow-up is always a great process to showcase, because I know some people always like to dog out the first cut, especially if they just see you post a quick highlight of somebody that just maybe possibly did a big chop from an afro or something like that to a lower cut. It doesn't always look appealing. It's not very pleasing visually, you know, like it's crazy. Even right now with his hair, we're still training it. He is coming from longer hair, which was down to his back if he laid it down, and literally there's some training that is still needed here. In the fade, there's still a little bit of some like areas that look like he has colics. If I zoomed in, you would see it, but it's not colics, it's just him wearing braids for so long and still having to brush and actually go in a little bit more. That has, you know, set up his hair the way that it is right now. So there's a lot of me prepping this hair for the lineup, like using holding spray. As you can see, I did spray a little bit of water before I put the holding spray on him, just to make sure that I control the hair, get a good brush session in there. And you know, you gotta take your time, you gotta take care of your people. And I can't wait to show you all what the big chop went down like, because I'm going to do like a reaction to my own haircut process style video. You know, I'm gonna kind of do a little pop-up box, you know, like a streaming type situation, and we should be good. But I'm going to digress back to doing more videos with, you know, me using the boosted clipper and trimmer, as well as the Cyborg trimmer and clipper, because I think a lot of you all enjoyed that and wanted to see if these things are really worth it. But I'm going to just be pretty much really kind of flowing more towards the very natural way of doing things. I've been kind of really moving very slowly, trying to make sure that everybody learns my lingo and my process of how I do things. But I think we're getting up to speed, and a lot of you all are catching on. I mean, I don't think the subscription would be going up if people were not up to speed with what I am presenting to you all. So I'm gonna go ahead and start in the middle with this lineup using, of course, my ES5 blade that is equipped on this boosted, and working my way out from the middle out to the vertical bars. Make sure everything is straight on the front. Taking my time. I'm trying to keep this thing running in real time, but just kind of speeding it up on spots where necessary so that you can actually see this thing working and we can get to the end result, because I know some of you all would have loved to see this fade being executed versus me, you know, just kind of doing my thing with the haircut and speeding through it. Like, I know that's not cool for some of y'all. Y'all really want to learn and see the process, so I'm working on that. And I've been on slightly kind of a very big break, which it's not a intentional break, it was by accident. And when I say it was by accident, I mean that it's been very busy these last 2 months for me. We're talking May. April was busy, first of all, which is my busiest month due to the Mother's Day holiday right around, you know, that time. Everybody's also receiving their taxes, which this was the weirdest tax season I've ever experienced for people. They weren't really spending as much, but they did spend around that holiday for Mother's Day. Then when May came around, you had graduations, open houses, vacations, and people just celebrating life and wanting to be out right now. I feel like people are very comfortable being back out, you know, post-COVID, which is like almost 4 or 5 years ago now, which is crazy. That pandemic definitely did do the most to people, but not to get too deep on that. I'm no expert about what's really happened. I'm just saying, like, that stuff was wild. And yeah, you know, people are back spending money and hanging out. There's a lot going on in the world that is having people just try to live life as best as they can. But just to digress back on this haircut, as you can see, I'm done with the lineup on the front part of the forehead, executed perfectly, proportion on each side, symmetrical, all that. And I just lined up his mustache with the same blade set, no welting whatsoever. Like I say, you don't have to set this thing up super close aggressively. You just have to do enough to where it's going to do the job. As long as it's not scratching people up and it's cutting the hair, that's all that matters. You're not cutting skin, you're cutting hair. So keep that in mind. The more you all understand that, the better off you will be. So yeah, you know, stay tuned. I will put out the big chop video to show you how we got here for my guy. But he's definitely crispy. He's a new man. Definitely a whole different situation going on here. One thing I will say is investing into certain tools has people really confused about a lot when it comes to how much they should really be spending, especially my clients. You know, just kind of go back on that pricing and how much you should spend on stuff. My clients always think they can get that barbershop fresh look, knowing they have no kind of skill whatsoever. For example, I cut my own hair, and I'm very clear about cutting my own hair sucks. It's not fun. It's a horrible process. I can't stand it. I despise it so much. It is the worst experience when it comes to making myself look good and presentable. And it's not fun. I just wish somebody can cut my hair as I sit down comfortably and, you know, be good to go. But yeah, stop being cheap if you're gonna also just do a self-cut. Self-cuts mean spending money, and when you spend money correctly and appropriately, you will get quality. You know, you will have longevity in your tools that will last long. But yeah, this thing is slicing. This is my man's Wilson Chandler. If you know, you know. For those of you who are hooping fans, you know, NBA players definitely do love their fresh cuts, and my man's has definitely been trusting me with his hair lineup, so that's love. But yeah, I'm gonna speed through some of these cuts just to show y'all what this thing can do, and you know, just give you all multiple different textures, because these things are chopping, these things are slicing, smacking lines in. And I'm not a big fan of color. Just to keep y'all reminded, a lot of everything you are seeing is natural. So if you did enjoy this video, I gotta cut this short, y'all, because I've been going for a while now. Definitely leave a comment, share this video, and follow me on my different platforms. But please, stop being cheap about your tools.